Good morning, Lisa. I work with a range of complementary professional services in order to support the needs of the small to medium-sized clients that I look after. Hopefully, we're now emerging from this very difficult and challenging period. My guest this morning, as I say, is Lisa Seagroatt, Managing Director at HR Fit for Purpose. And Lisa, I'd just like to ask you a few questions, which I think might be helpful to some of the viewers with regards to what you do. Could you tell me a little bit about your business, what you do, and how long have you been practicing?
Okay, so I've been practicing HR for around 20 years, but as a dedicated HR practitioner in my own business for the last 4 years, which is what path that I chose to take. I set up in business because I'd been working in the voluntary sector for 13 years at senior level, absolutely loved my job. And then we suddenly had a change in the board, which then created a very difficult environment to work in. It was once a very healthy environment turned very toxic. And that caused me to eventually, sadly, have a mental health breakdown because it was, the stress at work was just unbearable. So once I got myself back on my feet, then I thought, what can I do with all this experience? Operational experience, HR experience, 30 years in the workplace, having, worked my way up from a junior in the office to a senior manager level. I thought I can't not do anything with all of this experience. So I decided to set up HR Fit for Purpose, really to help other companies, charities, businesses, whoever, recognise that your most valuable asset is actually your people. And if you don't look after your people, then your business is likely to suffer as a consequence. And that was what I'd seen happen in the charity that I'd worked in. We built a very healthy workplace environment, a great connected and engaged team of people. And then when there was this change in the board, lots of people went sick, they left. It was chaotic and very dysfunctional. Totally, very, very dysfunctional environment. Then it went from very healthy to very toxic, and as a consequence, the organisation lost its funding, it lost patron, its reputation went down the pan. I mean, all that stuff hinges on the people that are contributing to your business, and if they all walk away, you have no business.
Absolutely.
So, that's why I set up HR Fit for Purpose, to really help people recognise people are your most valuable asset.
Thank you. So I believe you've got quite a wide range of services, but how have you been helping people, particularly during this COVID-19 period?
Okay, I mean, at the very beginning, of course, it was absolute chaos, as you know, because until the furlough scheme was announced, many of my clients were just in total flat spin. They didn't know what to do. They were thinking laying people off, etc. Anyway, what I've been able to do, or what we've been able to do within HR Fit for Purpose is, take them through carefully each step, and everybody's needs have been different. And as you know, Demi, there's no one size fits all in terms of any business needs normally, let alone during the middle of a pandemic when everybody's, in no man's land. So we've just, been fortunate enough to be able to help our clients navigate their way through some very tricky HR scenarios, and what to do with furlough, what not to do with furlough, all that kind of thing. And now the emphasis on our Bounce Back and Thrive campaign, which is about bringing people back to work safely. And we keep hearing about that all the time, as we know, every time we switch the telly or the radio on. But the emphasis for me at the moment is to ensure that clients recognise that people have been through an awful lot over the last 4 or 5 months. It's not like coming back to work and flicking this light switch back on and everything's going to be normal. We know we have to get used to a new way of living and working. And people coming back to work, our emphasis is on supporting people returning and making sure that we don't automatically start firing off down a performance management line just because someone isn't performing like they were 6 months ago. Probably none of us are performing like we were 6 months ago. It's about being careful with our people.
Could you pick out maybe one challenge for the smaller business that you believe that they should be perhaps aware of? May there be things within the business that were okay before, but now actually they might need to relook at? Is there anything you can think of in that space?
Well, a lot of the things I'm looking at the moment, is 3 clients at the moment that come to mind, is they're having to slim down, maybe temporarily, and that's a tough call, because once you've got a team of people that you love working with, that's really, really hard when you can only afford 3 of them and not 4 of them anymore because of this situation. So, that's a significant challenge that people are having to face. But the most important thing to remember in any of that is that, we have to make decisions that are right for business, and to ensure that business will survive the next 6 months, the next year, as we start to get back on our feet. So even though we might be wedded to our people, we might, be really fond of them, we have to look at what the business needs are in terms of, do we need all of these posts? And these are the conversations that we've been having with clients that, are we using those skills at the moment? What skills do we need round the table from our people to get us out the other side of this pandemic and put back together again? And sadly, we're having to make some difficult decisions around, if you don't have those skills and that's not what the business needs right now, then that's where we're going to have to slim down. Very difficult, but unfortunately that's the reality of what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, thanks for explaining. And what would you give as an indication of the range of size of businesses that typically you look after? Have you got an indication?
Yeah, very much sort of small to medium, particularly. Startups I've done a lot of support with anyway, and I think I said to you before, one of my roles is through Enterprise Enfield as an ambassador for women in business. So I've been doing a lot of work with women who have set up small startups that have grown very quickly. But the majority of my clients are small to medium size, and quite often they have started out as, 1 man in a van, and then within 5 years they've got 45 people, and suddenly they've got no infrastructure to support it. And so that's been an issue anyway with my clients, but certainly now, because it's about, oh God, all these people, what do we do with them and how do we manage? So small to medium essentially is generally who I'm working with right now.
So you can help people on that journey as they start very small, sometimes 1 and 2 people. And you can help them on that journey if they've got ambition to grow. I guess you can suggest things they put in place fairly early on to help 100%. Them with that. Yeah,
you can't, the great thing about going into business, and I know that for myself, we've grown very quickly, but because I'm fortunate enough to have an HR background, I know I need people to help me grow. So you must have a good framework and infrastructure in there right from the start, so that when you grow, you've got your policies, your procedures, all your do's and don'ts in the workplace, how you expect people to behave, what your terms and conditions of employment are going to be. You've got that set up when you come off the starting block. Otherwise, if you grow suddenly really quickly and you've got to backtrack and try and backpedal to put all that in place, it's such a hard job to do. And also you might have already created inequity in your business already by employing one person different to another, and that's when we start to hit problems. So putting frameworks in place is something we absolutely are really, wedded to. We want to help our clients do that, so then they can grow with ease.
Right, thank you. And just lastly, how do you work with people early on when you're seeing how you can help them? What's your journey of bringing a new customer on to your service? How does that work?
We offer a completely bespoke approach to our clients. So we don't bring a new client on and then try and push them down a path that doesn't fit them. So my approach is always to find out what the client needs and what their aspirations are in terms of their growth, their vision, etc. Have we got a business plan in place? Could we have a look at that, for example? Because any business plan should be supported by the people plan in order to help deliver on the business plan, because normally we need people to deliver business plans. So, we take each client individually, and some clients need more support than others. Particularly if they haven't employed people before, they need a bit of mentoring and a bit of coaching to get them to that point where they're confident about managing people. Because, you know, if we're going to have a large company with lots of people in it, even if we're not going to be directly managing them when we're at MD level, we still need to have that basic understanding and confidence so that we know that other managers lower down in the structure are doing what we need them to do to make sure things are being run fairly, and, you know, and we're looking after people and we're getting the best out of them for our business. So we don't ever offer a one-size-fits-all. We look and we almost do like a bit of a health audit, a health check of what's going on in terms of if they've got people already or if they're wanting to take people on, how can we help them with that? What building blocks can we put in place to make sure it fits their business, it fits the purpose for their business? That's what we're about.
Great. Lastly, we're both talking to each other this morning from our home offices. What impact and how, you know, what impact is this recovery going to have? Because it seems to me more and more people are getting comfortable working from home and perhaps giving a better service to their businesses by doing that. Well, how do you see, what issues do you see rising from this home working environment now?
What we've got to keep an eye on with home working, and it can work absolutely brilliantly, and it clearly has for lots of people over the last few weeks. However, what we need to keep an eye on with that is that when you're working at home, sometimes it's very difficult to work for longer than you do normally in the office, because when you go into an office, normally you have a start time, you have a finish time, you put a lunch break in there, you might go for coffee with a colleague or whatever. When we're at home, you know, it's really, really important for business owners, MDs, chief execs, checking in with their staff regularly to keep connected and keep that communication going so everyone still feels part of the team, but also to check they're not overdoing it, because this, particularly for some home workers, if they're at home on their own, then that can create issues for them with their mental health anyway. So we want regular breaks. I know it's difficult. It sounds like a perfect world, regular breaks, you know, set routine. But the thing we always promote, and I talk to my own students about, because I think, as you know, I teach an HR qualification anyway, is we must try and put a routine in place. So that
some sort of structure.
Try not to sit in front of Zoom in your pajamas and, you know, all day. Is to get up, have your shower, do some exercise, have some breakfast. I definitely do that. What I'm not going to do is taking breaks. And my husband would tell you that. But, you know, that's the sort of thing we need to be encouraging people to do, and making sure they've got that work-life balance. Otherwise, you know, they're going to get burnt out, and we don't want that.
Well, thank you very much for talking to me this morning. What's the best way for people to get in contact? I'm assuming you have a website, and I think you and I are on LinkedIn, so people on that network platform can find you through me. But is there a couple of contact points for you? What's the easiest way for people to get in touch?
I mean, most of the time it's email for us generally. People come to us and it's info@hrfitforpurpose.co.uk, or you can call us on 07761 072515. And our website is www.hrfitforpurpose.co.uk. And as you say, Demi, we are on LinkedIn as well, and also Facebook.
Lisa Seagroatt, thank you very much for your time this morning. And I think we touched on a couple of things there that maybe we can revisit actually in the future, because I think they're subjects unto themselves, really. Thank you very much.
I'd be happy to do that. Yeah. Thank you very much, Demi. Bye.
Bye.